Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show. Today is Sunday, April 13th, 2025. Welcome to another New York City location video. Today we're in Riverside Park. Right now I'm at 96th Street. And I want to start right off by asking you guys, how many of you recognize this very famous filming location? Let me just step aside, take another look. Perhaps it might be a little bit easier if I go down there and I reenact the scene for you as best I can by memory. Let's see if that helps you a little. Hey, give me all your money. Give me everything you got. Cool. Well, if you said Death Wish, the first one, the original one, you'd be 100% right. After they discovered the body, you may remember the next day the Italian detective came running down these steps here, sneezing and coughing as usual, to take over the crime scene. Let's continue along and let's look at some other interesting sections of Riverside Park, not just here at 96th Street, but also at 79th, and basically jumping around. All right, guys, let's get started. Before we go into Riverside Park, I want to show you that a few years ago, the city built a charging station in the 96th Street parking area. And as you can see in the picture, the parkies left their car in one of the spots. There's a close-up of one of the charging stations. This is Riverside Park. This happens to be the exit, and it has specified times it's open. They have installed gates at the entrance and the exit because back in the old days this park was open 24 hours and people were coming here at night and doing illicit sexual activity, so they had to put up gates and create hours. This green railing is original to when the highway was built in the year 1940, I believe. If you're observant, you're going to see that there's absolutely no acceleration lane. Robert Moses designed the Henry Hudson Parkway and a lot of the other parkways in New York, and unfortunately, he was not a fan of acceleration lanes. This ramp is going to lead us into Riverside Park. This goes underneath the West Side Highway. I talked about this grate a few years ago. I want to touch on it again today. Underneath and down below is the subway tracks, and I don't know how the graffiti guys are able to get in there and tag. In the old days, you could access this from 72nd Street. But they have since sealed up all those entrances, just like they did with this one. So I'm really not quite sure how they're getting in, but I guess eventually I will find out. We're now heading into Riverside Park, and I hope you guys notice that even though it's Sunday, April 13th, it's the third straight week of cloudy, rainy, cold weather. I'm in a winter coat and hat, as you noticed at the beginning of the video. The city spent a lot of money in putting in all-weather AstroTurf here, and they really did a good job on Riverside Park as far as sprucing it up. This is an emergency pullout section on the West Side Highway here. This is going north. These are very useful if you have a flat tire, but the problem is, I guess about 15 years ago or 20 years ago, the city closed off a lot of these and paved over them because, once again, people were using them for the wrong purposes. The railing is original to 1940. We're now going to go northbound, and we're going to walk by the various things that are available in Riverside Park. Over here is another one of those gratings like we passed before. This whole wall, this whole entire wall has access points. They're supposed to be emergency access points for the railroad in case anything happens. We're continuing north now,
And as you can see, it was a Sunday morning around 10 a.m. and a lot of people came out even though the weather was god-awful. Back in the old days, meaning the 70s and even the 80s, you wouldn't see these kinds of people on a Sunday morning in Riverside Park. There's another one of the Grady's I'm infatuated with. Looking through it, and once again, look, you can see the graffiti guys have tagged it. I don't know how they're getting onto the railroad right of way. I really don't know. These steps lead up to Riverside Drive, where that gentleman is heading. Another view of the park, and you can see several points over here. This is an original outcropping where you can look out onto the Henry Hudson Parkway, otherwise known as the West Side Highway, and look at the water. Now, years ago on the far side, in about this area, roughly, although you can't tell from this picture, there was one of those emergency cutouts. Several movies have been filmed using these emergency cutouts. In this very spot, one that comes to mind from, I believe it was 1973, is Cops and Robbers. They filmed a scene there. Also, I have my own personal story about this area. I think I'll tell it to you real quick, since you can actually get the idea of what it looks like. So, one day back in the 80s, I was driving in my car, heading southbound, which is the far side. I spotted in the cutout a bunch of police vehicles. I could see something big was going on. So, I made a U-turn and parked in the little cutout that I showed you earlier in this video. I then scurried across to see what was happening. So what was happening was they were fishing out a drowning victim. Apparently he'd been in the water for some time by the looks of him. Anyway, no big deal there. So as I'm getting ready to leave, I observe a gentleman running on the West Side Highway heading south. That is extremely rare. You never see that. Now today, of course, they have a jogging path behind the guardrail. You can't really see it, but it's part of the Riverside Park jogging path, and a lot of people use it. But back around 1985, 86, the guy wasn't even jogging on the path. He was jogging on the highway. And the funny thing is, there had to be 25 people with me where the guy was being fished out of the water. But it seems like I'm the only one that noticed this guy jogging, and he just instantly struck me as being wrong. I knew something wrong had just happened, but I didn't know what. A few minutes later, a patrol car pulls up in the right-hand lane with the roof lights flashing. And the cops are in the front seat, and there's a woman in the back seat. And the cop says to the crowd, "Did anybody just witness a young black male running by wearing a blue shirt and black pants?" And you know, not a single person saw anything, but I did. And I told him, I said, "Yeah, I saw him." I said, "He took his shirt off, he's running with it in his hand, he ran across the highway and he ran into Riverside Park." So they took off after him, and I'm not sure if they ever got him. But that's my little story from this particular area. So let's move on. Here, one of the employees left the gate open, which is kind of odd. I think I saw him walking around, but they keep a lot of their supplies in there, the parkies. By the way, parkie is a slang term, if you've grown up in New York City, for Parks Department workers. This I wanted to highlight because these egresses were sealed up many years ago. I myself never saw them open. Now, this is a bit of a sore point that I'm going to bring up a few times through the video. Now, most of you guys don't see anything wrong in this picture. This is a tour bus. The Henry Hudson Parkway was designed for cars only. It clearly says passenger cars only, no trucks or buses. If the cops see a trucker, an over-the-road 18-wheeler on this highway, he is in for a world of hurt. And I really feel sorry for the truckers because they really work hard, okay? And yeah, they don't know exactly where they're going. They don't pay attention to the signs in New York. But if the cops catch them on this highway, they're getting a whopping ticket. But yet, it seems like the cops turn a blind eye to all these tour buses. I must have seen 30 of them while working on this video. All right, continuing on. There's another one. Now keep in mind, it's probably about 10 minutes since I saw my first bus, and now this one goes by. It's my opinion that something was going on in the Javits Center Sunday morning, because they were on the south side and they were on the north side, back and forth, all these tour buses. And truthfully, you don't usually see that many on the West Side Highway. This is kind of amusing. Original 1940s grate was made to accommodate this tree back in the day. I wonder how old this bad boy is. Here's a picture of the park I want to get a close-up of. I'm going to for you. This is all new, all improved. This is a skate park, okay? You got your ramps, you got your rails. Funny thing is, when you think of skaters, you think of teenagers, right? At least I think of 15-year-olds as skaters. But every time I go past one of these skate parks, everybody skating is 30 years old. Just saying. Continuing on, I was hoping that this lamppost was old, but it is not. It is a clone. It is a reproduction. A reproduction, and I'm very disappointed in that. I noticed this while I was out, and I know this is kind of a common thing in New York, where the engineers will spray paint an outline over the deterioration. I'm not sure if it's because they plan on coming back and fixing it, or if it's because they actually want to fix the area. Your guess is as good as mine on that one. I just don't have the answer. To talk a little bit more about Riverside Park before I let you go, back in the 70s, it was as bad as it gets. Just like in Death Wish, you wouldn't want to go there. Now in 2025, on a Sunday morning, it is safe as Fort Knox, as you saw. However, don't get too cocky. I would not recommend coming late at night. Don't do it, okay? But during the day, you're fine. You saw what it looks like. New York has come a long way since the making of Death Wish and all those other cool 1970s movies. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more, please put it in the comment section. And also let me know, do you want me to continue exploring Riverside Park? Because there's a lot more to it than what I showed you today. Let me know. And thank you for watching. I'm Crazy New York Driver. You're not. Rock on and peace.